was it about the Miami tip that made you feel it was important enough to have the police go along?
I think we still get tips on what I would call a regular basis. I wouldn't say weekly or what have you, but when you look at 10 years that have gone by, I get tips all the time. We get tips. We get tips, and we thank you. Please don't stop.
Okay.
We're still putting together that puzzle that we've talked about for 10 years, and it's only going to take one little piece. How we react to it, or law enforcement, we don't react to it. And again, folks, we have never investigated anything in our lives. I don't think we don't have the skill set to do that. That's for other people who do. But when people give coordinates, names, addresses, anything that is real, that's being followed up on by these folks behind us.
Is that what happened in South Florida? Did you get
Yes, yes. That tip came directly into a family member, actually. And I have to say, for these people standing behind me, within a half hour we had boots. We had people on that island. We had things happening. It's tremendous. But when you get information that's credible, real, I shouldn't say real.
Because it
but
wasn't.
How can I say it? You know.
Seems viable.
Correct. You know, not close to water, not by a palm tree, coordinates, names, things such as that. It's going to be acted on. And it's acted on all over this country, wherever it happens. So if a lead comes into this family, it's passed on and it gets worked on. And I've had the opportunity from time to talk with the detectives through emails, texts, and on the phone. And if anything's truly pertinent, they're in contact with us. And they do work on Jennifer. We don't know if it's every day or, you know, what have you. It's a very busy city here, as you folks very well know. You cover it. And 10 years is a long time. We have to thank them just for being here 10 years later and doing what they do, I think, on a weekly basis 10 years later. You know, not to knock them, FBI's done. You know, 5 years ago they were done. I don't think they should be done, but they are, until something comes up that they need to be involved again. But, you know, I have a whole different viewpoint on how this country should go after our missing. It should be top priority. You know, once you're in this, and it's really crazy. I don't know how long ago, it was probably a year and a half ago, when, you know, terrorists around the world, and don't think that this family hasn't been terrorized. It's terrorism. Our government put out military forces, not even in this country, to find 247 young women that Boko Haram took. The efforts that were put forth to help another country, to help 241 or 247 women, and we found them. We found them really quick. Nothing was done. That's a shame. But the effort was made, and America was able to go out in the world and find where these women were. I want that for Jennifer. I want the very best. I want everything that's possible, anything that can be done, any resource that is out there. This is what our government is supposed to do for us. And they have done amazing things. They really have. But again, 10 years is a long time.
Detective Sprague talked about the promise maybe of new technology even in this. Tell me what you feel about that, thinking about going forward.
Well, technology is, as you know, it's ever evolving. DNA is ever evolving to this day. When Jennifer was first taken, one piece is what you got, and that's what you used, and now one piece can go forever almost. We used to have the hairball. You don't need the hairball anymore. Things such as that. Social media, you know, which that's a two-edged sword, to be quite honest with you. Most things are coming in on social media, especially the bad things that happen to us come in on social media. You know, I wish I had the opportunity to sit with the Bill Gates and the Zuckerberg of the world. They've created a little bit of a monster, and they love to give their product away. Well, we'd like to see it given away for positive purposes, as well as educational purposes. But, you know, technology is, it's always getting better, and hopefully someday that's going to be able to help us and truly bring it home when it needs to be brought home.
How do you know that there may be more than one person who knows what happened?
Do you know anyone that's committed a crime and absolutely, positively no one in the world knows except for that person? I don't. I don't. Usually, even if it's the worst person in the world, clergy knows, lawyers know, parole officers sometimes know. You know, even the worst person in the world has to say something to somebody at some point, or someone saw something and they just are scared. There's a lot of people in this city, I'll tell you, because I've talked to many of them, they're scared. They don't want it. They don't want to talk about crime that they see. They're afraid of what's going to happen to them in their own neighborhoods because they're not living, most of them, in some good neighborhoods. They're living in very bad places. So, you know, but I have no doubt that more than whoever took Jennifer knows what has happened here. And that's hard to deal with. That someone has had that, more than one person has had that on their mind for over 10 years and hasn't had, I don't know what it is inside that you have to feel before you speak up about, I think, one of the most heinous, if not the most heinous crime.
Let me just say something.
Sure.
I just want to say also that Huntington on the Green, the complex where Jennifer's car had been dropped off, we know at noonish on the day of her abduction, and we know that that car sat there for 2 days. And I think that my hope might be also the children who were living there at the time, who might have been 5, 6, and 7, why now they're 10 years older. So what might an impressionable child at that young age have seen or heard through playing out in the streets, if you will, that became buried? And perhaps by seeing a story, a refresher, if you will, of what happened to Jennifer on that heinous day, maybe we'll get that child to make a phone call. And that's a hope.
So Joyce, you think it'd be a good suggestion maybe for somebody who lived in that complex that had somebody in the early elementary age and they're now high school age?
Correct.
Maybe sit down and have that conversation?
Correct. I would love to see some sort of dialogue, even in the school systems, that Huntington on the Green, you know, are assigned to, if you will. Because someone saw something. And it's so past time to have closure. And that's the hope that I have. And will have until we get an answer. Thank you.
And you know, really just one quick thing. I want you folks to also realize, and you've covered it, Tracy Ocasio, Michelle Parker, Trenton Duckett, Dottie Wise. I mean, the list goes on, and that's just, you know, those are just some people right here in the area that have been gone for years. They need your help. They need everyone's help. This is not the way we want to live. I don't think so, at least, but you know, there's a lot of people that need help out there, and we need people to step forward. It's not a time to be quiet anymore in this country. It's a time to speak up and make this country the country we know it is, which is a great one. We thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions for the detectives? All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
What kind of evidence are you guys reprocessing from the car that you're hoping that new technology might bring something to light?
We met with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and as Mr. Kesse indicated, DNA technology is ever evolving. The kits they use are ever evolving. The amount of DNA you need is ever evolving. So a lot of the testing that's been done can be redone with these new kits. So most of we're concentrating on Jennifer's vehicle. We think the answers probably lie there. So some of the things that they have tested and not been successful with, we want to resubmit to them based on evolving technology.
How often are you guys looking at this case? Is it a once a day, once a week, once a month conversation?
It's almost every day. It's definitely weekly. And Mr. Kesse indicated that how often we get tips. It's every week. If I don't get tips from Crime Line, I get tips from the family. So we receive tips every week. I spend every week at least every other day or several times a week vetting those tips throughout the country.
Where has that car been all these years? Has it been in evidence?
Oops, I'm sorry.
The car hasn't been in evidence all this time?
No. The car, it was a leased car, and I was paying for it after Jennifer was taken. It was taken back by GMAC, so I don't know where that car lies today. I wish I had it. I have to be honest with you. I wish I had it today. But there's a lot of things that when you look back on, you wish you did differently. Almost everything, actually.
So the stuff that they're testing at FDO leaving, is that just stuff they've taken from the car?
Yeah, that car, first car had a lot of stuff in it. It was Jennifer's junk drawer, for sure. And I had the opportunity, I didn't see the car before. I used to clean it for Jennifer, so I knew it was in it. But I had the opportunity to see the car once law enforcement got done with it at a secure location, and there was absolutely nothing left in that car, and it absolutely vacuumed out. In fact, after it was given back to us, I think 3 or 4 times, FBI came back to us and asked for access to the car again. So what we have out of the car, hopefully, is enough, and if not everything, 99% of what would have been available to law enforcement.
Was it a drivable car by the time
Oh,
it
yeah.
was done, or were like parts of the steering wheel taken
No.
out, parts of the seats? Or
No, it was very, could have driven it right there. It was just dusted down very well. Nothing was ripped apart out of the car, though, no. I don't think well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, that the time that we have the person on film is 32 seconds from when they pulled in. What they did with the car before then, we don't know. I don't really think they had enough time except to wipe things down when they brought the car to Huntington on the Green and parked it. But we don't know where that car was for 3 to 4 hours either before it got parked there.
Has there ever been any thought about making this a cold case, or what would it become a cold case?
Yeah, I have great question, actually. I've asked for the case to become cold many, many times. It's good and bad. It's got its flip sides. You know, I believe there's a lot more money in the cold case side of things, maybe not at Orlando level, but in cold case general, and that's what people deal with when they're in cold case. It's cold case. It's what they're in tune to and what have you. But unfortunately, the only thing that makes Jennifer's case cold would be time, especially with what on a continual basis for 10 years has come in. So do you flip it over, and this is not our call whatsoever, but do you flip it over to a cold case when for 10 years leads just keep coming in? Or do you keep the people that have been active on the case and the agency that has been, dug in since the beginning days to continue to work the case? The answer to that is Orlando will continue to work the case. I think that cold case investigators should be involved. They have been involved, but they should be involved, and I think I made it clear every resource available on any level should be made available to every missing person, abducted person, period. It's just not the brain thrust in this room. We need more than that. We honestly need more than that. It's 10 years. So, and I can honestly say, law enforcement here had mentioned just a couple panels. I think at least over 100 investigators, have looked at Jennifer's case. And, you know, unfortunately, we're scratching our heads. 10 years later, we're scratching our heads. But it could turn on a dime tomorrow. It could turn on a dime this afternoon. And that's what our greatest hope is. And that's what we live for every day and we strive for every day, is to be the best advocates we can for Jennifer.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.